Hey everybody, it's David Pingree with Vital MX, and we're here at State Fair today doing our shakedown on the brand new 2021 Yamaha YZ250F. This bike, you could argue, is the best 250F ever built. It's won pretty much every championship and every shootout that's been done over the last couple years, head and shoulders above the other machines leading up into this year. So Yamaha chose not to rest on their laurels, and they came out with a whole slew of changes to this thing. When I see a manufacturer do that, I get a little bit nervous that they're gonna, throw the baby out with the bathwater and take a step backwards, as we've seen with some manufacturers that do that. But what they did was keep all the things that were good and address those things that could be improved. So starting with the engine, this is one of the things that made the Yamaha has made it such a great bike, is its strong motor. And its torque numbers, the way that it pulls, the way that it delivers, it's been phenomenal. They went to work trying to make this thing much better. So new intake port shape, it's straighter and it's 3 millimeters wider, allowing for a little bit more flow. There's a all new air intake system on this bike as well. So it starts with the air filter cover, which has a couple of holes ported into it for better flow, a whole new air filter, and then a whole new air boot. Last year's model had a Venturi that stuck out inside of there internally. They've gotten rid of that, created more volume inside of there, and with the shape of it, it sort of builds its own Venturi. Again, end of the day, it's all based on a flow bench, then being able to get more air in, more fuel through, more exhaust out, quicker and easier. Out the other side of the motor, they've reworked the exhaust. It's an all new exhaust camshaft. The working angle of that's been reduced 8 degrees. The muffler sound is improved. Some people had, I know it's an odd complaint, but just the sound of it was off-putting. So the muffler's a little bit longer, volume size has been increased, and ECU settings have been adjusted, obviously, to optimize the use of both of those. A couple of things they've done just to improve durability. It doesn't really necessarily change performance, but all new water pump impeller shaft, new oil seal, new impeller, and a water temp sensor, all geared towards just making the bike a little bit more bulletproof. Also a few changes in the bottom end of this machine, new crankcase, new cam chain tensioner. Again, these things are just meant to match some of the changes they made to the motor, again, for a little bit more durability and reliability. Big changes in the clutch as well this year, and again, they're focused on performance and durability. The clutch basket, they've added some material to the outer edge, reducing stress by about 17%. Just makes it stronger all the way around, reduces that chance that something could break. Lots of other changes on this bike as well. The handlebar holder, there's a shape change in that. The top clamp has a shape change. Front suspension settings are different. Front axle thickness is different. Front brake caliper and pad and disc are all different. The mainframe thickness changed. So thicker on the cradle tubes and thinner on the side spars. What they're trying to do is get a firmer feeling front to back, so there isn't so much pitching back and forth, but a little softer so that it has some flex side to side, which allows it to roll into turns easier and just feel a little bit more nimble. Rear suspension settings to match those frame changes and everything else. Different rear brake caliper, hanger, and disc. The foot pegs have been raised to improve clearance a little bit lighter material. It's a stronger chromoly that makes it a little bit lighter and a little stronger. So they're able to remove some material, so you lose a little bit of weight there as well. And then the engine brackets, both brackets are changed. Different material, different thickness. And again, that just goes, it kind of works in conjunction with the frame changes and the suspension changes to try to get what they were looking for. So that's an overview on pretty much everything that was changed. And they did have a 2020 model for us out here to go back to back against, which the thing that I noticed, I was really looking for the feel in that frame, the changes they made. And honestly, it was very tough to tell. Not a ton of bumps here today. Amazing traction. State Fair has been really fun lately. Good ruts, fun jumps, a couple little sets of roller whoops, but not a lot in the way of big braking bumps or really hard acceleration chop. And I think that's where you'd probably feel some of those changes. I do feel, and this is frame and suspension, but when I rode the 20, anytime I would grab a bunch of brake, you really feel the front end drop down. And when you get on the gas, you'd really feel it squat and it had a tendency to wheelie. This bike, they did the same thing on the 450 where they've really addressed the bike pitching and throwing forward and backwards. And that's just, it goes back to basic road racing theory where you just don't want to upset that chassis. The smoother you can apply throttle and apply brake and keep it from doing this, the better. lets the chassis kind of stay settled, lets you get into the turn and exit the turn better. So that's what they were going for, and I did feel it there. Suspension feels firmer. And again, that goes back to them trying to get rid of that, you know, forward and backward throwing. But you definitely feel a firmer suspension on the 21. Not so much that, you know, the little chatter and bumps we had here still gobbles it right up. I'm not feel like I'm getting too much feedback, because you can just stiffen stuff up and stop this, but then it doesn't work in the bumps. No issues there. It just did keep it from rocking so much. As far as the motor goes, again, very subtle, but if you look at the dyno curve, the 20 actually made just a little bit more on the front side. And what they've done this year with the changes is given up that little bit of front side, and about halfway up the power curve, the 21 jumps over it and makes way more power from middle to upper top end. And it carries out further, where the last bike you'd be on the limiter. If you were trying to run a gear out into a turn and not want to shift, I mean, when it hits the limiter, it just stops going. This year it pulls considerably further. So if you're trying to stretch a gear into a corner, you can do it. You don't have to catch that next gear, which I find really nice. Sometimes if you've ever found yourself in the face of a jump and you run out of power right at the face, that can be scary. Doesn't happen on this bike nearly as easily. You definitely get some more distance out of each gear, which I like. And personally, what I found, especially when I went back to back with the 20, when I was coming out of turns, the power delivery on the 21 is smoother. There's almost so much low end on the 20 that it had tendency to wheelie. And part of it was that squat that I talked about. As you accelerate, the bike squats down, bites in, gets better traction, and it's making so much power it wants to wheelie. With the 21, I found it didn't squat in as hard. It stayed more neutral, and the power came on just a little bit smoother. So I found myself wheeling less, making less mistakes, able to ride more laps more consistently. And at the end of the day, whether you're racing professionally or weekend warrior, that's great news, right? So I found the changes to be subtle, but to be also very effective. And what they've done is basically taken the best 250F in the business and made it even better. Looking forward to our 2021 shootout, which will be coming up here before too long. But I can tell you my first impression on this bike is they just keep taking steps forward here at Yamaha. It's impressive, and I don't know what else you can do to make this bike a lot better. At the end of today, I told the guys, there's nothing I even want to try. It's perfect the way it is. So kudos to Yamaha for building a hell of a motorcycle. As always, they've got the Power Tuner app, which is incredible. You can go in there and get your race settings from clickers to sag to all of your mapping from each different track. That way you've got a place to track all that. You can change your mapping right there in the phone. Just connect via Bluetooth to the bike. It's amazing. If you've not done that, or maybe you're a little technologically challenged, I fall into that category at times, man, just take a minute and figure it out. It's such a nice tool. It gives you all your service intervals for when you need to change your oil. No more need for an hour meter. It's really a cool feature. Another cool feature Yamaha has this year is they've got a Monster Energy bike. So it's all black plastic, definitely has a different look, big monster claw in there. It's just aesthetic. Everything else on the bike is obviously the same, but it has definitely a unique look. And Yamaha's been doing that, offering a couple of different colorways or styles. And it's gonna appeal to a lot of people. So definitely a cool, unique look. They also got the Yamalube products. You can test ride Yamahas if you hook up with one of their ride days. The Blue Crew support at the Amateur Nationals. Yamaha offers a very comprehensive package when you pick up a new YZ. So check them out. They are in your dealer showrooms right now. And thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.